It almost sounds too good to be true, right? But here it is, almost 2 years later, and I'm here to tell you the real deal. What's up, guys? I'm Captain Mike, Florida Sport Fishing TV. Guys, I want to talk to you about something that, well, you can't see. I'm going on about 2 years of owning this Mercury-powered SeaHunter 41 CTS, an incredible fishing machine, no question. When I built the boat and took delivery, I had to make a big decision. How was I going to protect the hull? What type of bottom paint was I going to put on this boat? Your standard ablative bottom paints, we all know the benefits, but we also know the downsides. They're going to reduce the value of the boat, rob you of performance. It's expensive and dirty to apply. They're not great for the environment by any means. And it just looks ugly, you know, really does. It just brings the whole look and appearance of the boat down. So a new option was brought to my attention with a product called Hull Pro, a clear, non-ablative protective coating that literally protects everything under the waterline, all surfaces. Well, certainly that got my attention, right? I said, wait a minute, I could apply one material, one coating, and my lower units, my underwater lights, my trim tabs, of course the hull, but it goes so much further than that. Hull Pro also increased performance, and I was gonna get better fuel efficiency and more hole shot, more top end speed, and retain maximum value of my boat. It almost sounds too good to be true, right? But here it is, almost 2 years later, and I'm here to tell you the real deal. Let's talk about initial application. Very little prep work. The hull needs to be clean. That's about it. A maybe, you know, depending on the application, a very light sanding, but not necessary. So that right there is a huge benefit, being able to apply this coating with very little prep work. Number two, as I mentioned, a lot of materials under the boat vary. You have metal, you have fiberglass, you have glass, you have lower units to the engines. Hull Pro protects them all, okay? All, it's a multi-surface protectant. So that was another advantage right there. Again, retaining maximum resale value, that was really, really important to me. I want to maintain the good looks of my boat. I don't want that ugly paint on the bottom. So having a clear coating that you can't even see, man, that was a huge selling point to me. Affordability. It's a little bit more money up front, there's no question. I promise you that. It's gonna cost you more for that initial application. However, you're looking at multi-season use. You're looking at multi-year use without having to reapply. So when you weigh out the dollars and cents, you'd be a fool not to do it. Now let's talk about the downside, because there are a lot of upsides. The downside is you got to keep it clean, guys. It's, you know, it's not an ablative, and that means it doesn't wear off like traditional bottom paint does. So your cleaning regimen needs to be a little bit more frequent, okay? And that's going to vary depending on where you are. Obviously, we're in one of the harshest environments right here in the Florida Keys. Sun, sand, salt water, it's so much heat, the water's so hot, growth is out of control down here. So we know, you know, with traditional bottom paint, history tells us that every 3 to 4 weeks, really every 4 weeks, we've had to have the bottom clean. With Hull Pro, we've cut that back. We're at about every 3 weeks. So you've got to increase your frequency. I tell everybody, look, even if you're not running the boat, you've got to jump on the boat, go for a booze cruise, run it offshore, you know, get up on plane. As long as you run the boat regularly, that's going to help you tremendously. It's going to wear all of that growth, is going to just kind of fly off, and it's really going to simplify the cleaning process. Okay, that's how it works. Run the boat often as you can. I'm not saying every day, obviously not, but whenever you can, if it's been a period of time, get out there, run the boat. Cleaning. You've got to use the right tools. No metal scrapers, no harsh tools. You know, remember, this is a protective coating. It's a clear, ultra thin protective coating, and you don't want to scrape it off the boat. So microfiber towels, plastic scrapers, that's all that you need to wipe this stuff off. Is it time consuming? Well, that's going to vary depending on the size of your boat, right? However, Labor-wise, I think it's easier than even traditional bottom paint. I really do. If for whatever reason you lose that cycle, you lose that frequency, something happened, and look, things happen to all of us in life, guys, and maybe 2, 3, 4 months go by and you haven't used your boat, you haven't had it cleaned, yes, you're gonna need to haul the boat out, power wash it, acid wash it, reset the product, but you will not need to reapply. You just need to really, really clean it really well and get it back to when it was originally applied. That's it. Okay, and you're back in business. So expect to make some slight modifications, but those modifications are superseded by all of the benefits. It's not even close, okay? Benefits, So just keep that in mind, okay? That for me, it was an excellent decision, and I'm glad that I did it. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm never gonna put traditional bottom paint on a boat ever again. Here it is, almost 2 years, into it. I'm happier than ever. My divers haven't been here in a couple weeks, but we've been using the boat often. They should be here next week, but I want you to take a look, just, take a peek at the hull, scan down, see what real deal, what it looks like, okay, what the growth looks like. And I want to remind you, your hull is white, your bottom paint is clear. So you're going to see every little bit of growth, right? It's going to be visual. If you have that traditional black or dark blue bottom paint like most people, you don't see the growth, but I promise you it's there, okay? We all get that like mustache, right? That runs around the boat. It's there. You just see it a little bit more, of course, if your protective coating is clear and your hull is white, so you've got to wipe that down. But like I said, guys, this is a great product. I stand behind it 100%. A lot of different guys can apply this now. And with a Cat, I'll tell you, we're about to do something really, really cool. When we applied Hull Pro, of course, we applied it to all of the surfaces below the waterline. Now, when we pull the boat out for our next service, we're literally gonna coat the entire interior of the tunnel, because Hull Pro, mother company Armus Marine, has learned that we can increase our fuel efficiency even more. We can gain better performance on hole shot, on top end speed, on overall fuel burn. We can increase all of those numbers, or decrease them, I should say, if we coat the entire tunnel. So that's what's coming up next. But at the end of the day, I'm a Hull Pro guy forever.